Management is not about within the four walls of your corporate office. Management is not within the institution, but management is right there in every single place that you walk. You're managing two kinds of resource. One, a physical data. The other one is in the digital format. Management is all about getting the work done efficiently and effectively by the right use of resources. Good morning and welcome to the second session in Unit 1, where we are going to talk about the features of management. Now, moving forward, the first thing that we are going to talk about in the introduction slide is that management is essential to life. In order to organize it, we need to manage. So first thing itself, when I talk about management, it is all about managing those small things in everyday walk of life. Why? Because management is something that cannot be just taught over as a theoretical subject. It is something that you need to learn day in and day out by the activities that you do. So management is definitely a combination of art and science. It cannot be just taken as a unilateral subject, but it is a subject of multidimensional factors. So let me put it in this way. Management in every turn of life, in every walk of life, there is something exciting that needs to be carried forward, that needs to be done, and that needs to be learned so that we are able to excel ourselves, not just as managers, but also leaders for that occasion. Now, be it business or household, management plays an important function. That line is very important. Why? Because management is not about within the four walls of your corporate office. Management is not within the institution, but management is right there in every single place that you walk. Be it your house, be it school, college, or any institution for that matter of fact, you need to know the meaning of management. You need to manage yourself and the situation that's given to you. So that's why we say that management plays an important role in every single place. Now, followed by, in the business world, good management is a backbone of every organization. When I use that word, good management, so I mean to say this word very, very clearly, is the backbone of every organization. So that's the foundation. That is the base on which the entire organization is built. So sometimes you might ask this question to yourself, what exactly is management? Managing people, managing process, managing technology, or just managing the resources that has been given to you? Well, the answer to that is management is a combination of all. You need to have a 360-degree approach in terms of understanding each and every process that you go through. So that's why I say that management is a very, very important activity. Followed by the nature of management, very, very important. What? Because the management does not work individually. It's a set of whole lot of activities which includes planning, decision making, organizing, leading, and controlling. Now look at the functions. Starts with planning, goes to decision making, goes to organizing, leading, and controlling. Of course, there are a whole lot of activities when we talk about management. Each one of them have their own presence, own prominence in terms of delivery. But then when it comes to this word called as the nature of management, we need to look at each one of them in a separate capsule format. Why? Because each one of them will have their own relevance, will have their own aspects in terms of understanding the project and the system. Now, followed by, these are directed at resources which are human, physical, financial, informational. Now, what has happened in the modern day world is that one side there is a physical data. So when I talk about physical data, it's none other than the human beings. All of us carry humongous amount of data within ourselves. It might be about a subject, it might be about our activities, our hobbies, our likes, dislikes, interests, so many factors. We are all inbuilt with a huge amount of data. We are all living sources of data. On the other side, you have the digital aspect that comes into the society. Each one of us are so well connected in the digital world that probably it has come to the presence, it has come to the light that we cannot live without information technology. Each one of us are so interwoven, interbound with the information technology that we are speaking about. So there is a digital divide that is present in the society. At the same time, the same information technology is trying to connect the different corners of the world. So you need to understand that when you are managing resources, you're managing two kinds of resources. One, a physical data, the other one is in the digital format. So management is definitely coming in with a bigger presence there. Followed by management is done with the resources along with the activities to achieve organizational goals efficiently and effectively. So we're going to learn two words today again. One is efficiency and one is effectiveness. So when I say about efficiency, it is all about your performance level. So efficiency is a measurement through which I'm going to see how good are you at doing that work. Are you really strong enough in terms of delivering your performance again and again, meeting those benchmarks, meeting those standards? That's where efficiency comes, which means repeatedly you are able to perform irrespective of the conditions, and you are able to achieve the desired goal, the desired level of performance, the desired level of standards. Then automatically your work becomes efficient. That's where management picks up its prominence. So management is definitely about efficiency. The next one is effectively. Now, when I use this word effectively, it is all about how close, which means to say that how close you can get the right and wrong. Effective use of resources, the correct use of resources, where you are able to judge, you are able to make a decision of right and wrong. So effectively and efficiently are two different factors of management. Followed by the features of management. What are the features of management? They are goal-oriented, it is universal, it is integrative, it's a social process, it is an intangible, and it is an art and science. In my previous slide, I did mention this word, art and science. Management is a combination of both. Management is not something which is only about a theoretical subject. Management is not about formulas. Management is not about reading those long pages in the book. It's a combination of art and science. You need to have that balance to understand the features of management. Now, moving further, let's first start about the organizations, why they require management. Where is that functionality coming into picture? For an organization to work systematically, smoothly, the management is the utmost requirement. People may argue today, asking about this factor, should I really involve management in each and everything that I do? Should I really bother so much about the management? Where is this management coming from? Who are the people? Is it always necessary that a company should have a CEO, CTO, COO, all those big fancy designations? Or is it something that a company can run on its own? Well, the answer to this question is that management is mandatory. We don't have a choice. Management is not about having fancy designations. Management is not about just controlling, or management is not just dominating others. Management is all about getting the work done efficiently and effectively by the right use of resources. So management is more or less an inbuilt function of the organization. So you cannot avoid management. You cannot say that management is a separate part of me. Management is inbuilt. It is within me. It is within every single employee of the organization. So that's why I say that for any organization, management is of utmost importance. Followed by the organization to function with its human force, financial resource, and other physical resources, a manager is engaged in his management duty. So every day, a manager is engaged in the duty of syncing with his resources. Manager cannot just work as an isolated island. He cannot go back and say that, yes, I will do the job myself. I don't need anybody on this earth. That is not possible. The manager has to sync with his resources. The manager has to think, how am I going to use my resources today? Be it finance, be it HR, marketing, sales, or production. What is going to be questioned at the end of the day is that, Have you been clever enough? Have you been smart enough in terms of combining all your resources and getting the job done effectively? So definitely, management is something not to be forgotten, but it has to be taken in the stride. Moving further, is management universal? Now let's come there. Let's come to this point, very, very important here. Is it universal? So I stay in India, I stay in Japan, I stay in China, I stay in Malaysia, or I stay in Thailand, or in UK or US. Still, are you talking about management? The answer is yes. Why? Because management is a universal factor. Whether you speak Russian, you speak Chinese, you speak Thai, or you speak Arabic or whatever language, but management cannot be erased out of the minds of people. Management is something that is found universally across this globe. Whether you work for any kind of companies, be it a multinational, a transnational company, a regional company, ethnocentric or a geocentric company, but yes, you have this word management. So which means to say that management is irrespective of the position, of the nature of the job, of the type, whatever that we are, and it is found everywhere. The first thing that we learned is that, yes, it is goal-oriented. Why? Because management has got certain perspectives to follow. The second thing that we need to understand is that these goals, this language, this kind of setup is available across the globe. So when you see the globe revolving around you, you see management is also revolving with it. So you cannot avoid management. You have to be with it. The management imbibes in each and every activity that the company does. Followed by, now come to the goal orientation part. What is exactly this goal orientation that we are going to talk about? Management helps organization to achieve goals systematically and without any fuss. I'm going to use this word one more time. Why? Because systematically. Now, this word has to be concentrated very, very clearly here. Management actually tries to make you understand that if you want to do a job today, you need to focus your time, money, energy into it in terms of understanding how important that work is. Because every single activity that a person engages inside a company requires some effort. And that effort should translate into something meaningful. You cannot just say that I've been working in a company 8 hours a day, which means that I work 8 into 5, 40 hours, I work 160 hours a month. But then at the end of the 30 days, if you're not able to give any productive results, then the organization has not been effective in terms of guiding you towards the path of success. So what does organization always try to push is that management says to the organization, we need to have a goal in our mind and work towards that goal. It might be a financial goal or a HR goal, or it might be a sales, or it might be something beyond it. But then without a goal, you cannot work. And the goal has to be planned in a systematic manner without creating complications in the mind of people, so that you are able to make a progress step by step. Every day, when you work towards the goal, you need to feel, you need to understand that, yes, I'm making a systematic progress in terms of development, in terms of achieving the target for the company. Followed by, it's a continuous process. Everybody understand this word. It is a continuous process. When you look into the diagram there, you see that 4 activities: plan, do, check, act, PDCA. What I call plan, do, check, and act. This is very, very important. Why? Because management is a cycle like that. It doesn't end. It keeps on going round and round in that same circle where you have to do this activity. It is something which is not that we will do it only on Monday and not on a Tuesday or Wednesday. Management is 24/7, 365 days a year. You are not going to live without it. You have to understand and accept the fact that every single activity that an organization plans today will have management inbuilt. So you cannot live without management. You cannot come back and say that I have forgotten, or I have not understood the management concept, or I have not imbibed management here. I have not felt the importance here. Management continues to remain a continuous process which will keep on coming through the various verticals of the organization. So it is very, very important that we all understand management as a continuous process. Followed by, it's a multi-dimensional. Whenever I look into that Rubik's Cube, it's something really fascinating for me. Why? Because different colors. At the end of the day, what we try to do is that we try to just arrange the colors in one particular dimension. But end of the day, when you start understanding that it is not just about colors, it's all about our mindset. So the Rubik's Cube is something like this. You see all kinds of colors everywhere. Red, blue, green, white, all the colors that you could probably imagine on that cubes. That's exactly how management. You have every single aspect. You have a HR, you have a marketing, you have a human resource, you have a sales, you have an IT, you have every single process that is there. All of them are multidimensional. They have their own importance, they have their own aspects, they have their own challenges, their own targets, everything. But then management is a colorful mix of all those things put together. They not only manage, but they also try to bring in the different aspects, the different levels of importance towards the society. So it's always important for all of us to understand that management is not a single phase. It doesn't mean that management is meant only for managers. It's meant only for the CEOs. It is meant for everybody in the organization, and every single person will have something unique to deliver, to contribute to the organization. Followed by, it's a group activity. The moment you look into that round table, people seated around trying to solve a jigsaw puzzle all together, that's exactly what management is all about. Each one of us hold a key, hold a solution to the problem. But then that solution is in bits and pieces. You need to arrange it like a jigsaw puzzle, bring in the exact picture so that management is able to find an answer to the question, to the problem. So management is a group activity. There is no place for the word I. There is only a place for the word called as we. This is management. We are management. We are the people who run the organization. We are the people who join hands together, stand upright in terms of any challenges, any problem. We decide how to run the organization. We decide how to take the organization to the next level. So we are the people who sit together, who brainstorm, who understand the problem, who come across what exactly the customer wants. So management is always about group activity. Management is all about people joining hands together. Management is never about one person or one particular group, one entity alone. It is all about people coming from different backgrounds together, joining hands and creating a meaningful solution. Followed by the dynamic function. Is management a dynamic function or static function? You've spoken so much about management. Is management dynamic or static? Why? Because if you just look into the image, management is something which just keeps on moving with the speed of wind. To be very, very precise, why? Because you have different factors like social, political, legal, technological, economical, so many factors that comes in. So management just moves across like a wind in all those directions. It just passes through like a wave, collecting through different environment. It tries to understand what are the changes required. It tries to understand how we need to adapt to the different situation, what changes we need to bring in order to increase the efficiency, how we need to face the consumer, what exactly the consumer is looking at. So what is happening in management is that it never stands in one place. It never holds back. It is not a static function at all. It's a pure dynamic function. It just keeps moving. You need to move. You need to adapt change, and you need to propel yourself forward so that you are able to create a dynamic environment. Followed by intangible force. Now, this is a very, very important thing. Management cannot be touched or seen. The effect can only be felt. Absolutely a very, very important sentence that we all need to understand and take it. Management is something which is not like a product. Management is like a service. Why? Because management has got so many intricate factors that you will not be able to quantify it. You will not be able to just touch and feel it. You will be only able to enjoy the experience in your mind. Now, for example, the joy of flying in a first class air ticket in Emirates cannot be explained in words. You have to feel it. You have to experience it. Now, probably you might just look into a YouTube video and say that I have watched people flying in the first class cabin. But is that you? The answer is no. So when you fly in the first class cabin of an Emirates or Qatar Airways, you will be able to experience that factor. You will be able to see that joy coming out. So you will be able to say, wow, this is what I wanted. This is how I also want to go through. You will experience that joy, that feeling only when you go through it. So similarly, management is something which each and every function, each and every activity is linked to each other. It cannot be just quantified, put in a watertight compartment and justified. It is something that where you have to go together, synchronize yourself, understand what has happened, and take it in a strand. So that is why I always say that management will help you to reach certain levels only when you involve and enjoy the activities that has been told. With this, I come to the end of today's session. I hope and believe that all the facts and the theory that has been spoken about in this session will be of a great help and resource to you. In the upcoming sessions, we shall learn more about the functions of management and the different aspects of management. Until then, stay tuned, stay blessed. Thank you once again for joining me today.